Alrighty, we are so back with the Sindell Planet profile. This time around, we can probably skip the small talk. As usual, I'm pretty happy with how everything came out. We'll get started right away with some Gatomics. We have Gatomic Swirl. 230 power, 160 health is pretty solid for a 4-star. It's just pretty average stats. And when this creature is free played by the ability of Gi, add one killed Gatomic or God card to your hand, then draw one card. So essentially, if you free play it by your gi, you get your gi back, right, and draw a card. So you're just going +1, and then you get to keep cycling more atomics through. And if you just play it with got, then you get your got back and draw a card. So with got, it's pretty good because you can probably build like a got engine, right, where you're looping Swirl a bit and you're just drawing a bunch of cards because you Swirl got, you get back your got, then you play like your Forces of Justice or whatever, you get this back. There's some other cards that can get this card back, and then this card just becomes like a 230, 160 draw a card, which is like better than things like Scoria Carrier, right? So I think this is a very solid card. 160 health is surprisingly big, right? Just surviving a lot of small things. Um, and you might often be forcing out like 5 or 6 stars or even removal sometimes to clear it, and then 230 power is going to clear a lot of small things and a couple of medium health things as well. So I'm pretty happy with how this card turns out, and I think there'll be a new way to play Gatomics. And the next card we have is another Gatomic. I love this one as well. Gatomic Scourge. I don't know how to say it. 270 power, 210 health. So it can't clear Darkspark, but can clear Dog, which is pretty relevant to be honest. 6 stars. When this creature is cosplayed, you can free play one Galaxy Gatomic creature. Right, so the first one that comes to mind is probably Gatomic Geek, right? And you just get these huge stats. And it's honestly, playing this has been such a throwback to like 2021 Sindel tempo, because you're playing stats, you're playing that tempo game. And it's not just like removal and just burst down the opponent, but you're getting big boards early. This is quite obnoxious if you get like a high rolly hand early, and you get the ability to get 2 creature zones up and then naturally cosplay this as well. But there's so much removal in the game at the moment. Honestly, most decks will be able to deal with this like 270, 210 plus a 400 board. Most decks will be able to deal with that pretty easily. And if they can't, then that's just like a good thing for Sindel, because it is a lower powered planet right now, and it's good if they have some sort of early X factor. But aside with this and like Dark Sparks, yeah, Sindel tempo can definitely get some annoying starts to deal with. I don't think it's super obnoxious because you might only end up playing one Atomic Key, because obviously that card still sucks to draw naturally. But there is like more to the ability too. I'm just talking about this way to use the card, which I think is probably the main appeal. And then if this creature was free played by Gi, you just treat the free played creature as if it was free played by Gi. So I do need to reword that real quick, which I just noticed, because it says when it's cosplayed, you free one Galaxy Atomic creature. So just should just be when you play this creature, you can free play one Galaxy Atomic creature. That's how I was using it in playtesting, so that's just an oversight. And then if this creature was free played by Gi, you treat the free played creature as if it was also free played by Gi. So if you get your Gi killed or play your Got, and you free play Scourge, you still get to play a Atomic creature from your Galaxy. If it's like a Gokka, you get to kill a creature. If it's your Gonk, you get your Activator back, etc., etc., which is also pretty good and can combo quite well. So there's another Atomic card later, which I'll show you, but I do think Atomics will become a playable strategy, and they'll have lots of engines you can play. Like you could just play like two Scourge, 2 Atomic Gi, to be honest. You could play with Swirtle. You could just play like Swirtle and Got, to be honest, and then maybe like one Gaunt, one Gokka, whatever your heart desires. I think there's going to be a lot of different ways to play the deck, and play that engine as well, which is pretty good for the planet, I'd say. Next we have Vile the Soul Harvest. So like I said, the Sindel Tempo deck of like 2021 days was very popular, right? Where it was just playing for stats and board rather than any gimmicky strategies or just a bunch of removal. So I wanted to kind of bring that back and give them some sticky boards, and give them a big bone ladder target, because obviously now Atomic E isn't such a threat it was back in the day, where it's going to be sticking around for multiple turns or sucking up a lot of resources to kill. So with this card, it's got good stats, 360, hits for 4 points and still clears just as much as 400 essentially. And then 420 health is pretty good as well. You're going to be walling out a lot of things. And then once per turn, when your opponent free plays a creature, there's a lot of free plays in this format too, especially as removal. you can either free play one of your killed 4-star or lower Sindel creatures, or you can kill that creature. So I think the main one will be killing that creature, unless they're free playing something small, right? But with things like Lionel, they're just not going to be able to use Lionel to go into a Hexator or go into a Scorn to clear this. Jakra, they're not going to be able to use Jakra to clear this, which is big because then it should be getting killed rather than uh, it should be getting killed rather than shuffled into your deck, so you can Bone Ladder it back. Any Soul Shrooms or Tombs they try to use just won't work. Any Polysium strategies where they need a free play a big creature to kill this just won't work. Like I think this should have a good amount of stick. In testing, it probably wasn't as sticky as I liked, and I have struggled to sort of balance it in a way where it's some huge boss card, but I also don't think Sindel needs a huge sticky boss card. I think if they just have a one-off option, like this can be a one card copy in your deck, because you can just kill it with a bunch of things in Sindel and then Bone Ladder it when you need it, right? And I think it does a pretty good job for the deck if you're looking for that bigger creature to sort of replace the Katamic Gear, because Sindel doesn't have the greatest big creatures at the moment, to be completely honest. So yeah, that's Vile the Soul Harvest. With Flaming Minos, but I'm pretty sure it's Minos. 230 power, 200 health is like pretty poor for a 5-star. It's closer to 4-star stats. But when this creature's killed by an ability, which again, Sindel has a lot of ways to do that, and Sindel is your planet, you kill the top 4 cards of each player's galaxy. So if you're going against things like Gaios and Shios, I'd say are the main ones, because you can hit things like your Super Floopers, your Gourds, and your Towers, where they just make the other sides of those combos redundant. So I'd say milling against those decks is like a good thing. But it's also, as a Sindel player, you like milling things too. So you kill the top 4 cards of each player's galaxies, and then you can shuffle 3 of your killed Sindel creatures into the galaxy, then free play this kill card. So essentially you can kill this from a Bond Beak, and then you get a body for free, which is nice. You can also shuffle any cards you want back into your deck, like Skelly Ghasts, or like another copy of Flaming Minos, so you can search it out, so you might be able to get this off a couple of times. The card has its uses. It can be sometimes, not sometimes, it is awkward for the most part to draw. But if it's in your deck and you dump it off a Bond Beak, you can spark quite a few combos. You can hit your Whack-A-Mans to draw 1, you can hit your Sparks to gain 3 stars as well. Like, it's pretty useful, and Sindel's getting a lot of depth in their card pool with this set now, where there's going to be lots of ways to construct your deck and lots of options to pick. And Flaming Minos, I think, will well be in the loop of cards to pick for your deck. So yeah, pretty happy with this card too. Also, 200 health is like really annoying as well. It's going to wall off most small things too. Next, Shadowrunner, bro. I love this art. Like, this guy's just aura farming, and like the abilities kind of aura as well. It's been very tricky to figure out how good it is in playtesting, because it is also generic and works in a lot of strategies. Because sometimes you play it in a winning position and you just absolutely dominate the game. And then sometimes when you're in a losing position, it's just terrible for you. So it's very hard to figure out your balancing. It honestly might be one of the cards that has to be played by the wider audience to figure out how good it is. So really rare with 390 power and 120 health. That is on the lower side. It's closer to 5-star stats, but at the end of your turn, this card becomes a permanent resource and is moved to one of your empty resource zones. At the start of your turn, this card becomes a creature and moves to an empty creature zone. If it cannot move this way, kill this card. So moving it to your resource zone is like annoying, right? Because it means you have to pay 4 extra slots, get a second resource zone, and you become more vulnerable to things like Guster. Then you can't play your activators, right? So that is a bad thing. But the fact that you can almost get like, it's sort of like Tower and Jakra when you're not using Jakra's ability, you're just getting a body back each turn, which is really good for being offensive, but then you're also leaving your board vulnerable for a turn, so you're not being as offensive. Now, since Sindel with Ghast wants to get 3 creature zones, you'll probably play a bit of zone game. So if you can have this in a 3rd creature zone, that's when it becomes quite obnoxious. But if it's in your 2nd creature zone, then you're going into your opponent's turn with only 1 body up, then you're quite vulnerable to taking damage. So yeah, I think this card's going to be really fun to playtest in lots of different strategies, and I'm quite excited to see what people do with it, because it really does have that X factor about it. And at the same time, it can also just lose you games too. So yeah, that's Shadowrunner. Love it. Shout out Professor Death for this card. We have Summon from Below, so you get to shuffle two of your killed Sindel creatures or combine it into a galaxy to cosplay one different galaxy. Sindel creature stars equal the shuffled creature's total stars. Right, so you can um, cosplay like a 2 to 5 star Sindel creature here. Um, there is a lot of mill now that Sindel has access to, and I almost wonder if there's sort of a strategy where you mill through your deck super fast, and then you just shuffle back a couple key important cards like Pelfams and Skelligasts, maybe Cerberans and Gehennas to win the game. It is a strategy I explored a couple of times. Honestly, I think it was only once, and I didn't fully get it going. But maybe a better deck builder than me out there can tinker with that because Sindel can move so quickly through their deck um, with this new support and some of the older cards in the game as well. And yeah, you can shuffle like 3 cards into your deck to play Skelligast, I'd say is the main one. But you get a lot of options with it as well. You can just use it as essentially a quadruple wormhole where you don't go -1, right? Which is pretty good as well. You can just bring back up on big, shuffling your Wacko Man, and then you get a draw one as well, and you're gaining some card advantage. It's quite versatile, but it's really only good in the ultra late game, which in this format, uh, it was like a faster paced format, right? We don't go to the ultra late game as much. I mean, I'll just get a sip of water too. So yeah, someone from below, not going to work in every Sindel deck. Again, so many ways to build Sindel this format. You know, just also just use it to shuffle back your Minos, and then play a Bonbeak, and then when the Bonbeak dies, kill your Minos, do that whole thing again, which is pretty cool. Next, we have Atomic Wave Transmitter. I love Sprite's art style. It's actually really cool, and he's got an archetype coming in a video soon. That's all drawn by him, and I love the archetype as well, and I'm quite excited for it. So this is more Atomic support. It's gonna work in a fully Atomic deck and in some of those engines I mentioned. Like I said, I'm pretty excited for where the Atomics are gonna fit in Sindel. So you kill one Galaxy Gi or Atomic creature, and until the end of your turn, all played Atomic creatures, cosplay or free played, are treated as free played by Geek. So if you just use this to kill a Atomic creature, you're going -1. Yeah, you're speeding up things like Bone Ladder and stuff, and there is shuffle and loop cards you can get to loop them back. So it's not the end of the world, but you're going -1. But then if you just cosplay or free play 2 Atomic creatures, most of their abilities go +1, right? So then you're actually going +1 by the end of the day. You're getting back activators, you're killing creatures, you're doing things that the new cards do. Like, I don't know, I think the card's pretty helpful. If you do have some crazy 3 creature board and you're sitting on a lot of stars, which Sindel can do, then you drop this and you get to activate like 3 Atomic abilities in the same turn, which is insane. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with where the Atomics are at, and I think it's going to be a useful card more so for those more Atomic centric decks than the engine, right? Where those decks where you have a lot of Atomic creatures in hand. And yeah, that's Atomic Wave Transmitter. Open to buffing it as well, just because at the end of the day it is a -1. And in playtesting, it's hard to tell because the more Atomic centric strategy has felt a bit weaker. It's hard to tell how much of that's because of this and how much of that is just capped by the Atomics because they are a bit of an unreliable archetype. So I am open to buffing it as well. Maybe if there was some way where it didn't just become a -1 straight up, like you search instead. So I'm open to that, and let me know what you guys think, depending on how strong you want Atomics to be. But yeah, that's Atomic Wave Transmitter, and I believe the last card here, Trash to Treasure. I love the design of this card. The artwork is cool too. It doesn't exactly fit Sindel. And that should also say by Professor Dead down the bottom. But I am pretty happy with the actual ability and all that of the card. It just doesn't synergize as well with the artwork, but the artwork's good on its own, the ability's good on its own, so it's like whatever, right? So you discard the top 3 cards of your galaxy and add one killed Sindel creature or combine a card to your hand. Right, so now you can play Gehenna in like your mill Sindel strategy decks, your mill focus decks, right? Because if you mill it, you can add it back to your hand, whatever half is milled, right? Which is pretty good. It's kind of like a searcher. In a way, I suppose. It's more searching the top 3 cards of your deck though. And yeah, it's just gonna be good to get back things like gas, get back like your atomic creatures that you need. Um, and it's just like sort of a tomb toolbox card. It's like it's a tomb, but you get to mill the top three cards from Galaxy as well. Um, so yeah, I like this card. It's pretty cool. I might change it to be like more Sindel locked, because I'm not sure yet if I want decks like Xemius playing it. I was pretty happy with how Xemius was feeling this format with all the like mill support. I don't think it needs to be like discard the top three cards of Galaxy, add a Sindel creature to your hand. Also, that's a big nerf for Sindel because then you're getting way less access to discard pile. But yeah, Trash to Treasure, quite like the card, Shadow Professor Death. And I believe, yeah, that is the video done. So yeah, really happy with how all these cards came out. I think Sindel's going to be quite competitive, but it's also going to have a lot of ways to build the deck. And Shadowrunner, since it's generic, is going to be quite an interesting card to the format, and it really could define the format. I might need to reword it to be free play to a creature zone and resource zone, so you can hit it with things like Erratic Void. Um, but yeah, in testing, I don't think I could. The card felt fine, but I could also see a world where it's completely busted and broken. And that's just a thing that will have to be explored by the wider audience. But yeah, I think it's a card that's definitely going to add a lot to the set and change how the game's played. So yeah, stay tuned for the Cindy and Planet profile next, and hope you enjoyed this one.